تفضلي استاذ.
We won't start with Dr. Mohammad. I'll go ahead myself with Moodle.
Oh, Dr. Mohammad Marzouq. صح. I'm sorry. Let me see if he's there. ما شاء الله العدد كبير فخلنا ندوره كذي بهاي.
ما شفنا ولا الحين ما دخل يمكن.
Let me just call him. He should be there in a minute. Okay. Then I have to mute everyone. Then Laila, you unmute yourself, okay?
Yeah, sure.
السلام عليكم.
السلام ورحمة الله أبو فهد. بانتظارك.
السلام ورحمة الله.
توكل على أبو فهد. دكتور محمد.
جزاك الله خير. خلنا نسوي بس سكرين شير. لو تسمح تخليني برزنتر.
حاضر.
دكتور زين.
حاضر. You are already presenter.
على خير. تظهر الشاشة عندكم؟
نعم.
بسم الله الحمد لله والصلاة والسلام على رسول الله. حياكم الله جميعا. Just a quick check. I see Dr. Rida is here, so إذا ما عندكم مانع I'll be switching to English. I'll be talking today about the online examination options. So I'll start with a quick question. Which options do you think? Sorry?
The connection is bad on my side, but please go ahead. I can hear you now.
You can turn off your camera, Dr. Rida. You don't need to turn on your camera. Just turn it off. You will have a better connection. Okay,
I'll resume. So, a quick question: which options do you think you have that are supported by the Kuwait University bylaws for examination? Can anyone give us, try to answer just quickly? Forms, that's one of them. It's part of Teams.
Blackboard and Moodle.
Blackboard and Moodle. Canvas, what do you think about it?
It's possible, but I don't think we have an access to it.
Yes, Canvas is not supported by KU administration, so it's not a viable option at the moment. So the options, as you said, they are Blackboard, Teams, and Moodle. Which one would you choose? So the way I'm going to answer it is present you with a number of questions. So the answer of which one of these three you will choose will depend on your answer to these three questions. Number one, ask yourself, which of these three systems are you most familiar with? And depending on the answer, I mean, you can ask yourself this another way. How much do you want to learn? So if you are familiar with Blackboard, use Blackboard. If you are familiar with Teams, use Teams and Forms. If you are familiar with Moodle, by all means, go with that. If you would like to learn something new, I would recommend you choose Moodle and try to learn how to use it. But you make the choice for which one of these three you are going to use, and each one of them is viable. The other question you want to ask is what type of questions you would like to ask your students in the exam. If you need flexibility, I would recommend Moodle is the most flexible of the three. If you are fine with the type of questions you are asking, if it's just simple essay questions, simple multiple choice, simple true and false, you're fine with either three options. If you are looking for flexibility, like ask your colleagues about calculated questions in accounting, or if you want something that auto grades calculated exams, you might explore Moodle. But if you can get by with any of the other options, you are fine. The last question, which might be important, and I would like to bring everyone's attention to is what are you going to test the students? Is it a quiz? Is it a midterm or a final? So really the question you should be asking yourself is how much risk can you tolerate? If you don't want to tolerate much risk, I would highly recommend that from today until we reach the finals, you try and familiarize yourself with Moodle. It's fine to continue to use whatever system you are familiar with quizzes, midterms, but please, for the finals, consider learning Moodle, using Moodle, or at least finding a teaching assistant in your department who is willing to assist you during the finals to set up a Moodle exam. The reason I'm saying this is that of the three options, Moodle is the most scalable. And this is directly from the Vice President of Academic Affairs. Moodle has been designed with scalability in mind. Out of the three solutions, it can handle over 15,000 students taking an exam at the same time. So this is the kind of risk I'm worried about. In the final, when all the exams are done at the same time, there is a risk if you are using, for example, Blackboard, that if enough number of students take the exam at the same time, there is a very likely risk that the system will be down. So consider this for the final. You are fine for the quizzes. You are probably fine for the midterms if they are not unified. But for the final, from today until the final, I would ask you to consider that you find a solution to get your final on Moodle if you are doing an online examination, inshallah. And should you need any help, I'm personally here to help you. And we will be mentioning the Moodle task force. Each and every one of them, I'm sure, is more than capable and more than willing to assist everyone here. What about this Respondus we keep hearing about?
فهد لو سمحت لي دكتور.
تفضل دكتور.
Okay, after we learn these softwares, what about the students? Will anything change if you switch them from forms to Moodles, or it's just a link that they connect with it? How does it work? Yes. Also, the other question is the system. Does it you know, like the problem that I faced in forms, yeah, yes. with forms. Apparently, the server does not save the unsubmitted quizzes, or yes. There is a problem with this. So
yes, well, okay. First of all, the students. I'm almost certain by the time we reach the finals, the students will be familiar with all these solutions because they would have at least used one of them with one of the classes they are in. With regards to how different they are in terms of experience for students,
we're going to have a different
Q&A session at the end?
Yeah, I mean, at the end, yeah, students' perspective.
Okay, so to save time, Dr. Khalid, we'll be focusing on this. But to say it simply, it's the same. And Moodle will solve your problem for teams because it does store the answers for each and every question. So what about Respondus we keep hearing about? Here's the thing that you need to keep in mind. It's just an option. You don't need to use Respondus. It's there if you need it. You can conduct your exams, your midterms, your final without having to worry about Respondus. So what is basically Respondus? It's just an automated system for proctoring exams. So instead of having a TA or turning on the camera or being there yourself, if you properly configure Respondus and your students properly configure Respondus on their computers, and that's the key here, the system will work perfectly. It uses the camera on a student's computer as well as the microphone to capture any unusual movements during the exam or sounds, and it will notify the instructor of possible violations. The instructor can go back to the recording of the students, review it. If there is anything suspicious, he can choose to fail the student. But the key is it needs to be properly configured on the server by the instructor for the exam and on the computers of each and every student. So things to keep in mind when you want to use Respondus. And for that matter, any other new system you are going to use during this time, test it as many times as possible with your students. It doesn't have to be a single test. Test it during the weekends. You will run into problems, I guarantee you. And we are here to discover these problems and to assist you. But at the end, please keep in mind, we'd like to make sure that our students have a good experience during the finals. So it's going to be a bit painful at this time, and this is normal for any system. But if you spend the time with your students to learn about these systems, I'm sure it's going to be for your benefit and for your students' benefit in the long run. If Respondus works, it works. It's an amazing system. I guarantee you will be impressed with the startup sequence, how it asks the students to face the camera, to raise their student ID, where it compares the student ID to the student face. And then if you choose to, you can also ask it to prevent students from taking the exam if they were not recognized. However, it is risky. I wouldn't recommend everyone use it. If it works for you, your student like it, go ahead and use it. If it doesn't, there are alternatives that I will elaborate on. But the risks with Respondus include setup. It might not be straightforward for you and your students. Students have different systems, most likely different configurations. You'll be playing the role of a support personnel. So keep that in mind. You might need a TA to assist you. You might enjoy doing these things, but consider the technical issues that the students will face. The other issue that I have to raise, and you need to be aware of, as well as your students, is the possibility of privacy concerns, because the students will be recorded. If you are going to use it, please, please, please let them know that having Respondus, taking an exam, is like having a strange person in your house. Take all the necessary precautions. Whenever you have a guest at your house, how would you greet that guest? How would you present yourself? It's the same thing with using Respondus. It's someone sitting in front of you to proctor the exam. Alternatives to Respondus. You can ask your students to open their cameras in Teams during the exam, whether you're using Blackboard, whether you're using Forms, whether you're using Moodle. You can request from your students to go into the lecture, open their camera, and I would highly recommend you enable together mode. I've put up a link and I'll make the slides available. You can view up to 49 students in one screen. However, this might get overwhelming. I would highly recommend you get the assistance of a teaching assistant if you have more than 30 students or 20. Split them up into 2 rooms. You would proctor half of the students and the TA would proctor half of the students, but all your students would be taking the same exam. You could design open book exams, and these usually do not require proctoring, but this is not for everyone. You can use short exam times and put students under pressure, under time pressure, and this would reduce their, I guess, motivation to seek other sources of information and focus on the exam. Include hard to answer questions in the exam. What I mean here are questions that only students who have been in your class could answer. Maybe it could be part of the discussions that you have. Maybe it's something specific you say, only your students would know. Another solution is using randomized questions in the exam. And this is where Moodle strength shines. You can set up Moodle to have up to more than 100 questions. And then you could set up your exam to select 20 questions randomly for each student. This would give your students almost an infinite number of combinations or exams, so no two students would have the same exam. But remember to always, I would highly recommend if you would like to have more controlled exam environments, to ask the students to open their cameras, and please notify them beforehand so they can be ready for being in front of a camera. Last words I'd like to part with. Again, do as many test quiz as you can. Both you and your students will learn a lot. You will even indirectly help other instructors at CBA by helping educate your students. Please be patient. I'll remind all of us, me first, that the situation we are in is exceptional, and inshallah it's temporary. Talk to your students. They need reassurance. They are willing to put the effort to learn all these systems. And if you talk to them, they are even willing to experiment with new ways of doing exams. But please be open to them, be accommodating, be patient. And I'm sure every one of you here can be, or I could learn a lot from you in that regard. But this is a reminder for us all. Finally, please talk to your colleagues. If you are suffering with the exams, do not suffer alone. We are here to support each other during this time. Inshallah, we will get through it. I'm more than willing, if you want to call me personally, if you need help, I'm more than willing to assist you. And I'm sure the task force and any one of you here attending or not attending would be willing to part with his experience if someone would ask. But please let us know if you need assistance, and we'll be more than happy to help you. Finally, these are the people who should, one of them at least should be in your department. I'd take this opportunity to thank them all for their effort and their participation in this voluntary team. If you have questions, please direct them to them, especially if they're challenging. If they would answer if they can, and if they cannot, please be patient with them, because they'll be working with the others to try and figure out a solution. And this is what I have for all of you today. Thank you so much for listening.
دكتور محمد عندي question لو سمحت.
Dr. Zainal, would you like me to take the questions now?
Yes,
or do you
please,
want?
Yes. I think it's you. I think you meant.
Please, تفضل دكتور.
Doctor, is this meeting recorded?
Yes.
Can we refer to it at a later stage?
Yes, نعم دكتور، راح مسجلة وراح نحطها على الستريم وعلى اليوتيوب بعد.
Thank you, Dr. Zainal. I forgot to remind you of this.
Thank you.
You're most welcome.
شكرا دكتور محمد، يعطيك العافية. Thank you.
الله يعافيك. حياكم الله.
Thank you. أستاذة ليلى.
Yes, I'm here.
Yes, you can start.
All right, perfect. So we'll go ahead and start. All right, I'll be starting with the first part of this presentation. If you don't know the address to Moodle, you can take it down here, and I can also add it to the chat. It's just moodle.ku.edu.kw, and you have to include the HTTPS for it to open up. It will open your browser to this website here. If you've logged in previously to your computer.
ليلى، لو سمحتي لو تشيلين هذا بس.
All right, is that okay?
Yep, yes.
So if you've logged in previously to your computer, you're simply just going to go to KUSIS. If you haven't logged in, it's going to ask you for your email address and password. It's the same email address and password you're using for Teams. All right, so I'm just going to click here to my KUSIS. And it's opening for me in Moodle. Now here, you want to go to your courses, and automatically your courses should appear. Now, the only thing, TAs will not be added automatically to the courses, and I'll show you how you can add your TA to a specific course. So we can select any of these courses. This is one of the courses. This is just course blocks. We haven't changed anything here. We've added some quizzes. I'm just going to close this area here. This is what the course looks like. there's an additional menu. If you select the 3 little lines on the side, you'll find an additional menu here with some other options. What we care about is if you have a TA that you want to add to your course, you want to select participants on the side menu. And here, it will bring back your students. Automatically, your students are added to the course. You don't have to add any of your students. This is only in the case if you have a TA you want to add to the course. You select the participants. You select the enroll button. You'll have to know that TA's email address. You add their email address. It will give you, of course, the options. Of course, I can't add myself to the course. And then you select what kind of access you want to give them. The teacher access will be the same access you have, and there is also a non-editing teacher, so they can only view the course. There is a TA and a student option. So this is just how you want to add your TA to the course. And as we said, this is your course. Again, you have the additional menu on the side. And we can go back to our course just by clicking on the course ID. And just remember, you can always scroll to your other courses from the course menu. Now, this is just the first step. And I'm going to hand it over now to Engineer Osama. And he's going to explain how we can add a quiz.
Before we go, I mean, can you go back to the screen where you added the TA and show them the student names?
Yeah, sure. All right, so we can go back to the course here. Again, the side menu. Can everyone hear me?
Yes, yes.
And then just to participants. And we say enroll user. And then you can add here if you know your TA's email address. I'm just gonna see when
I meant if you just scroll down and show them the student names where they can see their that's
so this is a student, this is another student that we've added, myself as a TA. I've added Engineer Osama here as well, and this is the teacher for the course.
Thank you.
You're welcome. All right. So I'll hand it over to Engineer Osama if you want to get started on how we can create a quiz.
Thank you, Laila. Assalamu alaikum all. Today I'll be presenting how we can create in Moodle a quiz test using different kind of questions, including multiple choice, true, false, fill the word, or essay questions. Moodle is very powerful with regards to how you're going to create your questions or a test. You can either start by creating your questions bank, gather them all together until you have a good amount of questions. Then you can create a quiz and add either a random questions to your test or specific questions. You can shuffle the questions during the test. Today, I'll cover a simple way of creating a test, empty test. Then we will start adding questions to that test. Then I'll show you how you can divide those questions and how they will look to the student at the end. How many questions in each page? When the test will open? What's the time limit? What kind of extra settings we can add to that quiz, to that test. So first of all, I'll go to the test itself. Should be this one, yeah.
Yes,
the first thing to remember, you have a button at the top, which is the edit button. Usually, you are viewing similar to the way students view the course. You have your blocks in the main page. Moodle is designed very simple. You have one page with all the things inside it. You have a left side menu where you can quickly go to the specific section that you have in Moodle. If you need to edit on those sections, you need to click on the edit menu at the top. Okay. Then you can add whatever you need in those sections. For example, we have here topic 1. I can change the topic itself by clicking on the pen. Then let's name those section tests, for example. Once you finish, you just press enter, and the section head will be changed. To add a new module, we call them module, either a slide, PowerPoint slide, a quiz, anything you can add to the section is called an activity or resource. You simply gonna add or click the plus sign at the bottom of the section. You can choose any section that you want to add your quiz, test, or any material that you want. For the test, we have a module called quiz. Okay, it can be used for short exams, long exams, midterms, and finals. So I'm gonna choose that module. You will name. First thing I'll show you here not all the settings. You need only minimal settings to do for the exam. Moodle is very powerful, and it has so many settings that you can do in one quiz. So let's name this quiz sample quiz. Okay. Description, you can put the description or the front page you usually put for your student about the test. What's the rules? What you're gonna do if they cheat. So I have a simple rule. I'll copy it, for example. By the way, if you have your test written in Microsoft Word, it's very easy to copy and paste in Moodle. It will be very quick to create your quiz and questions. The only thing you need, it should be written in Word document. Word document, anything you copy from it to Moodle, it will come with the same alignment, same settings that you have put. So I'll put a description, for example, for my quiz. Now you'll see a small button here, display the description on the course page. If you click this one, let's save it. What will happen is you will show those instructions exactly in the main course. If you go to the sample quiz, you will see all my quiz rules will appear below the quiz I have. Otherwise, if I remove this tick, the course rules will show when I'm inside the quiz itself. So this is the tick which we have under the display. If you lost during your setting of the exam, for example, just now I just moved back from the setting which I was doing, simply make sure that your edit button is on, go to the quiz and click edit, then go to edit settings. You can always go to the same page where we are doing our setting. The first thing you need to set on the quiz is when the quiz will be available to students, when the quiz will close, no more students can attempt to take the quiz. And the most important thing, because Moodle is designed, if a student open a quiz, he has a free time until he himself submits the quiz, unless you specify that this quiz will take 20 minutes, for example, 60 minutes. You can define those quiz by hours, by days, by week, or even by seconds. So we'll set up this quiz, for example, let's put it 60 seconds. We'll make the quiz end today at 8 o'clock, for example. Okay, this is so we can complete everything in today's session. Now, what happens when a student, during the quiz, time finish for him? Time lapse, time over for him.
Engineer Osama, there is one question from Reem, I believe she has a question.
السلام عليكم.
عليكم السلام.
يعطيك العافية. عندي سؤال بس بخصوص التايمينج. احنا جربنا twice نسوي الكويزز on Moodle. In both times كان عندنا students يتسكر عندهم الكويز قبل نهاية الوقت. يعني مثلا نحن حاطين close the quiz معطين 10 minutes. I had it closed for some students at 7 minutes.
Okay,
I had this happen twice. And the first time they were able to re-enter, and have another attempt to take the quiz.
Yes.
And the second time we did the second quiz, they were unable to access the quiz again.
I'll
why are we
explain
having
it.
this problem? Okay.
I'll explain it. Okay. Let me first, when the time expires, how the system will react. The first reaction, which I suggest everybody should do it, any open attempts will be closed automatically and submitted for grading, unless I specify a grace period for them. I can specify when time expires, you have 2 minutes to submit, for example, everything, or attempts can be submitted before time expires if they are or they are not counted. And I'll suggest that we stick to the first option. Any open attempts during the exam, when time expires, it will automatically be submitted for grading. Now, regarding your question, Reem, if for example, during the quiz, the student was, his PC was off, his PC restarted, he had an electricity cutoff, for example, the time will continue. All his answers will be saved. So whenever he's back to the normal mode and he tries to reattempt, if the time is not expired, he still has time. I mean by time, let's suppose he was cut off and the time remaining is 40 minutes. After 20 minutes, he came back to the exam. He will see all his answers saved, but his time limit is reduced by the cutoff time, which is 20 minutes reduced time. So for your problem, I think the main issue is the time was over for those students, so they could not re-enter again the exam.
Osama, that was not precisely the problem. The problem was they were taking the quiz ويتذكر عندهم and the quiz time has ended before the time that we had specified. يعني for example, we specified 10 minutes, قاعد يتذكر عندهم at 7 minutes.
Somehow they got disconnected. We will solve it later on. Somehow they got disconnected. Dr. Mohammad Al-Marzouq, you have a comment?
Yes, it is possible that جزاك الله خير دكتور استاذ اسامه بعد اذنك بس بذكركم بنقطه ان الكلوز تايم لو ترفع شوي مهندس اسامه في عندنا وقتين لانتهاء الاختبار. في عندنا التايم ليميت اللي هو ال 60 دقيقه هني مثلا، وفي عندنا كلوز ذا كويز تايم. كلوز ذا كويز تايم هذا ابسولوت تايم، اذا وصل اي طالب لهذا الوقت الاختبار راح يوقف، سواء الطالب خذ ال 60 دقيقه اللي حاطينها بالتايم ليميت ولا لا، فراح يسكر عليه الامتحان. فممكن اذا مثلا خلينا مده الامتحان الفرق بين الاوبن والكلوز ساعه كامله، والطالب بدا بعد 10 دقائق من الاوبن تايم، فهذه 10 دقائق راحت من الفتره اللي هي بين الاوبن والكلوز، فيبقى منها 50 دقيقه. فحتى لو التايم ليميت 60 دقيقه راح يوصل عند ال 50 ويوقف وياخذ على حسب الاوبشن هني، مثل ما نصحنا المهندس اسامه اوبن اتمس، راح ياخذ الاجابات ويعتبر الاجابات اللي سلمها هي اللي سبتت.
واضح، شكرا.
And if I may add something, that I mean the beauty about this option is that if anything happens to the student, I mean to his connection, he will get partially credited for the thing that he submitted already. I mean he solved already, even without submitting it, using that option.
Thank you, Dr. Zainal. Now, for the grading, again, not everything we will cover during the grading, but for example, you can set up a grade to pass. For example, a student can take a quiz, and only if he passed this specific quiz grade, he can move to another block or another test to take. So we can link some modules in Moodle to be linked together. I need to finish first the module, then move to the next one. But again, for simplicity, we will not go to that level. This is very important. How many attempts is allowed for the student? Again, if I put one attempt, it means even if the student was cut off, it still counts as one. The count will increase only if the student have submit and finish his test. This is very important. If you are making a midterm, a final, you for sure need to set this to only one. But if you are making a practice test for them, you can set this to any number you want. Not only this, you can also have the grade calculated based either on highest, average, first attempt, or last attempt by the student. So I'll keep this one because it's a test. I'll keep it to one only. So each student will have only one. Probably.
Can you just enlarge your screen or just zoom in at a browser? Because some people say they can't see as well.
This is okay?
Yeah, that's perfect. Yeah, perfect. Thank you.
Okay. Layout. Now, how are we gonna display the questions to the student? Again, you can display them every questions, all questions in one page, each 2 questions, and all these even settings you can later manipulate them and divide the way you want to display your questions to students. I'll keep it to every question in a page. Here, this is also a very important thing that many instructors have asked us. You can make the navigation free, means the student can go to the next question, comes back to the previous one, or you can make it sequential. Sequential means the student needs to answer this question on that page before moving to the next one. Again, this will be only shown when you click the show more option. So this is what's free and sequential. I'll keep it free for this demo purpose. The question behavior, you can always shuffle the questions which are displayed to the student. Okay.
We have a question here, Dr. Samar.
Yeah. تفضلي دكتورة.
مهندس أسامة، شلونك؟ يعطيك العافية. عندي سؤال الحين، موضوع سالفة being sequential ولا لا، هل هذا يؤثر على قدرته إنه يرجع حق السؤال ويغير إجابته؟
Yes. Once you submit the question, if it's sequential and move to the next one, he cannot change.
بس لو free يقدر يرجع له ويغير إجابته.
Yes. Free even at the end before clicking finish, he can change any of the question. I'll recommend free. Yes.
مهندس أسامة, I just want to share with everybody اللي صار إن لما سويت، أنا ما كنت منتبه حق الموضوع، لما سويت كويز تجريبي مع طلبتي كنت حاطته فري، فدخلوا الطلبة وقدروا إنهم يغيرون، يعني قلت لهم نافيجيت مع المودل وشوفوا نفسكم، كانوا يقدرون إنهم يدخلون ويغيرون إجاباتهم وكذا. لما يجي حق الامتحان الصجي كنت حاطته سيكونشل، وهذا شوي وهقهم. يعني في عندي طالب انتبه إنه ما يقدر يغير إجابته، فيعني يقول ضاع عليه كم سؤال بسبب إنه ما كان يدري. if you choose free ولا sequential make sure إنه تقولون حق طلبتكم واللي عافيكم إنه يعني ما راح يقدر إنه يرجع حق السؤال. وشكرا.
Noted, Victoria. Thank you. Now, maybe I'll speak a little bit about the Safe Exam browser and the extra respondents, which Engineer Laila will show later at the end after we create the quiz. These are the section where you can set these things. Overall feedback, you can put a feedback to all students or to students who got the full mark or students who got 0 mark or in the average. You can put a feedback, general feedback for all students with those boundary for the grades. Other than that, I don't think you need to set up anything in the quiz. We are ready to go and build our questions. So this is mainly
engineer Osama, في شغلة واحدة اللي that shows the feedback to the students. هذا اللي that we have to remove it لأن otherwise they will see the answers. They're not here في بعد فوق.
بالquestions هذه راح تكون بالquestions بس هني هذه overall feedback when he finished.
لا, there is another option.
Right.
Yes, if we a little bit بعد فوق. I believe لا review options, the review options. Yes, here
okay.
you want to yes.
Thank you for reminding me.
No problem.
This is very important thing. If you don't want the student to see the correct answer with each question they answer, you want to make sure that you remove all of these settings. Just keep the overall feedback which I just spoke about and the marks at the end of the quiz. When the quiz is still open, there is during the attempt after. So we're going to keep only the marks to be displayed to the student immediately after he submitted his questions or tests. Or you can even make it later after the quiz is closed and the time is over. So make sure that those are not selected, okay? Not during the attempt. You want to remove all of them from the student to see, okay?
Engineer Osama, just a comment. If you go a little bit up, just scroll up a little bit.
Okay.
More up. I mean, go to the selection of page per. Yes, I mean where we had the page per question or question per page.
This one.
Yes. I mean the beauty of this option is that just in case if the student wants to, to cheat or something, and he wants to pretend that he got disconnected for some reason while he's not. I mean that one page per question will save you him from seeing the rest of the questions. For example, if you put 4 questions in one page and he gets disconnected or pretending to be disconnected somehow, he will not see. He will see only those questions. So if you put one question per page, that would save you a lot. I mean, he would cheat only with that question only. So whatever he submitted, it's gone. Whatever he didn't see, it's not seen so far. So I recommend that you stick with a question per page.
Thank you, Dr. Zainal. You also have this option. If you change your question settings layout for any reason, you can always check the new one or select the new one and repaginate now means redesign based on the layout which you decided on for now. You can save. Now I think all the settings we need for the quiz are done. I need to save and return to the course.
Okay, just let's see. There are 2 questions here. I believe Dr. Hana has a question.
Victoria, sorry.
You have to unmute. Or there is also Mona Al-Ghais has a question.
Yes, Mr. Engineer Osama, sorry for that. Actually, I just wanted to ask one question. It's related to the timing of the exam. Suppose you feel that your students they didn't have enough time and you need to extend. Can you do that during the exam to change the settings and extend the time for the students?
For the time, I don't think so because the counter is already started. For the close time, I think yes. I'm not sure. I need to test this, but for the close time, I think we just test it with Laila. You can set up the timing for the close time of the quiz. But for the counter, students already started the quiz. You cannot change it.
I mean, during the exam, while they are taking the exam.
I know. You mean if they have 30 minutes and you decided to increase it to 45 minutes, for example.
Exactly. This is what I
Yeah, if they already started the exam, there is a time counter which is there. I don't think so. I didn't try it honestly, but logically I don't think it will increase.
Because this is what we get used to do on the ground. Sometimes we get used to feel that the students they are challenging time, so they extend the time for 10 minutes, 50 minutes more. So I don't know if this ability is there.
As far as I know, it's not there.
Yeah, thank you.
You're welcome.
Mona, you had a question?
Dr. Mona.
I'm sorry, Dr. Mona.
Hi, Engineer Osama.
Hello.
Again, I need the clarification about how to shuffle the answers and how to shuffle the questions, please. Now, we did mention about the question behavior, we should shuffle. I don't know, shuffle the answers or the question and how to do the other one.
You can shuffle both actually, but I need to warn you when you shuffle the answers, especially when you have answers like all the above, none of the above, it will be shuffled with all the choices you have. So you need to make sure where you want to shuffle the questions or the answers itself. Once we start creating the question, those options will be available. I'll show them to you. Okay?
We have 2 more questions.
Yes, thank you.
Hey, Dr. Khalid.
Mohammad, how did you go to the setting? I'm trying to practice in my iPad in the other screen. How did you go to the setting from the quiz to prevent a student from seeing the answers?
Again, we'll go to the edit setting. Okay, edit setting for the quiz. Then you will go, yeah. Then you will go.
Yeah.
ميخال سألني ما سمعتك. تفضل.
If I am back in the quiz in the first in the starting menu. Yeah.
الصفحة تأكد إنك ضاغط على edit menu. Then you go to the quiz you have, click on the edit and goes to the edit settings. You will go back again to the same menu which we just were explaining.
Okay, thank you.
And the ones you ask is in the review options.
The review options, okay.
Yeah.
Okay. Thank you.
آخر سؤال من دكتور فايز.
هلا دكتور.
هلا والله. بالنسبة shuffling الانسر اللي تقول all the above or none of the above تقدر تستعيض عنها بالانسرز اللي هو تكتب بدال none of the above تكتب none of the answers all the answers even if it is shuffled it is clear.
Yeah, this is a good way to solve this issue. Yes, you're right.
Okay.
Absolutely.
شكرا.
Thank you very much, Dr.
Nice.
Okay, so once I finish setting all the quiz settings that I need, I'll save and display. Okay, now I'm back on the quiz area where I can see exactly I have no questions added to the quiz yet. So in order to add any questions, I need to edit the quiz and start adding questions to the quiz. We'll add the questions the simplest way. We created a test, we go to the test, we edit the quiz and start adding the question. Today, I'll put one question from each category which I have put just quickly so that we can see. I have a true, false, a short answer, multiple choice. I have an essay question, some of them with pictures, some of them with table. Keep in mind, if you have everything in Word, it will be very easy to copy and paste. So what I'll do to add questions, normally I'll go to the add. Those options, if I already have a bank of questions, 100 questions, whatever, I can select from them. Or I can even tell him from those 20 questions, I need you to randomize 10 questions out of those 20 or 30 or 40. These are the two options for that specific thing. If I have a questions, I can select from the bank. If I have already a bank, I can also randomize the questions selected from that bank to be displayed to the student. If I don't have any question in the bank, then I need to create a new question. I have many categories where some of them are very simple, some of them are very advanced. We'll go with the simple ones. I'll take, for example, a true-false question. I'll say add. Now, each question will have a question name. Usually, this name will not appear to the student. It's only for your remarks. Usually, for example, if I'm writing questions or about chapter 1, I'll put chapter 1, for example, question 1, true, false. Just categorizing those questions for yourself later when you want to select from them. So give them a name, it must be unique, and this will help you later selecting quickly from those questions in any new test you want to create. So my question is this: simply I'll go and copy the question. I'll go back to the area where I should put the question text. I'll paste it. Okay. Again, the editor of Moodle is very advanced. You can do with the text you have placed anything like bold, italic, alignment, bold, everything you can do with the text. Plus, you can have the advanced where you can also have equation editor where you can put in your question. You can add pictures, hyperlinks, audio, video, many things you can put, even a calculator inside the question. But we're going to use the simple way, just adding a text, a question. Now, since it's true and false, this is a very important thing also. What's the default mark you want to put in this question? I'll totally recommend that you keep them to 1, because later at the final stage, when I edit my quiz, I can change those weights on each question. For example, if this question is 1 and I would like to give it more weight, I can do that at the end. So in order not to give yourself difficult times with a mark area, keep them as 1 for all questions. At a later stage, we're going to see how we can change those weights for the test. General feedback is the feedback you want to give to the student if once he submits or answer the question. Usually we leave it blank. This question is true. So what I'll do, I'll go at the end at the correct answer and select a true. So true is the correct answer for this question. Again, feedback, I can give feedback if a student have answered correctly or incorrectly. Again, we usually leave them blank. You don't want to give the student the right answer during the exam. Once you set up the question, there are 2 options. Either save changes and you go back to the same page where we added the question, or save changes and continue on the same page. The save changes will give me now a way to preview the question, how the question will appear to the student. So I click on the preview button. I will see exactly how the question will appear to the student. If I selected false, for example, a wrong answer and submitted, this is the way you will see later when you grade the student the answers for the student questions. Is this clear before I go to the next one? So simply...
Engineer Osama, how about the answer they just saw? I mean, would they see it again? I mean, when they do it? Okay.
We selected that they will not see any answer. This is only for you. You will see as instructor how the grading will be done at the end. Okay, so I'll save the changes. Now you can see that I have a question which I put, which is true and false. Again, you see this small one next to the question is the weight, the mark which I gave that question. If I want to change it in the exam, for example, I want to give true to that question, simply I'll click on the pen, change the number to 2 and press enter. It will change the weight now for that question. So this is the first one. I'll select a different type of question now, short answer, for example. I'll copy, I'll go again to the same way. I'll add a new question. I'll select short answer. I'll add. I'll give it a name. Chapter 1, short answer Q1. Put the question name. Okay. ID number you don't have to worry about. Grade default mark will set it to 1. Case sensitivity, this is very important. Is the answer case sensitive or not? So if you set here, yes, it's case sensitive, then exactly the way you have put the answer by capital, small letter, it will look for it. Otherwise, it will be case sensitivity is not important. Now I need to select the correct answer, and I'll show you, because here the correct answer is all in capital. I'll show you later how it will decide on it. Because this is the correct answer, I'll give it 100%. It means whoever answers these questions with this word will get the correct full mark or the full mark. I'll leave all the other options. I can give more. For example, if someone wrote to me Rome instead of Ram, I may consider give him half of the mark. I can do that. Okay, but if I have only one answer, then I'll stick to the correct answer with a full weight to it. I can add so many answers with different weights to them according to my settings. Again, I'll save, and now I'll show you how it will display to the students. Preview. Now notice, because I have put everything is uncase sensitive, even if the student have put some spaces at the beginning and wrote RAM, it will also consider this one as the correct answer. So when you don't take consensus in order for those kind of questions, it will treat them without taking any space, any capital, any small letter into consideration. Clear all?
Dr. Samar?
Dr. Samar seems to have a question.
Yeah, go ahead, Dr. Sabah.
Actually, it's not a question, it's just a comment, because I use short answers or essay questions in my exams. And what I didn't put any answer there, and I decided that I'm going to create the essay questions manually. Because a lot of our questions are define or explain, or depending on the case above, how would you say this and that? So it's very difficult to specify words to grade the students. So again, I recommend it might help you for the short answers and essay questions not to have any weight for the answers and just grade it manually. It is more work for us, but at least it's a bit fair for the students. As you know, our students wouldn't write maybe perfect English or whatever. They will make a lot of mistakes, spelling mistakes.
Yeah, you're right. That's totally correct. But again, it will give you a burden in correcting more exam questions at the end. But you're right. But you have also the options to give many options for the correct answer. For Dr. Amuna, this is where you shuffle the questions. Now I have more than one question. This click will shuffle those questions to students. Okay, this is shuffling the question. Shuffling the answer will only appear when we have a multiple choice question, which I'm going to add just now. Because I select in the exam setting each question in one page, you can see very clearly that each question now appears in one page will appear in one page to the student. So I'll add again. Again, I can add now a question at the top, a question in the middle, or I can add a question at the bottom. I can again arrange the way I put questions. If I forget, for example, I need to put a question in the middle, I can do that also. So I'll add
There's one
more
question from...
Yeah.
There's... Go ahead. I believe Reem.
كنت بسأل عن short essay questions. نقدر نحط مثلا keywords as answers, and then if the student writes more or writes an explanation, just يعني as long as they have the keyword, it would count it for them as correct? Or does it have to be exactly precisely the same wording as what we put for a correct answer?
I would suggest for this to use the short answer, because in short answers you have many options to put keywords on them, and each keyword will weight specific on the question. For example, let's go to the settings.
I meant if I just put keywords instead of the full answer. If I just put keywords in the correct answer. Now, if the student includes the keywords, but they write their own definitions, their own explanation in their short essay answer, would they still get the point? Would it count it for them correctly?
And the essay questions, no, you cannot do that. Only you can do that and those kind of questions, the short answer. You can have multiple answers to the same questions will be considered correct. But for the essay question, no, this is non-graded question. It will be left to the instructor to grade it. It will not be automatically graded.
So, okay, just correct me if I'm wrong. So for the short questions, I can put a keyword answer, and if they write more than the keyword answer, so long as they include those words, they would still get the points. For example, for example, if the question has a list, I don't know, the 4 P's, and I just put the 4 P's. I put the answer: price, promotion, whatever. If the student writes more, but they include the words that I put as keywords, will Moodle count it for them as?
No. They will get the full mark on that, unless you specify. If he wrote this specific word decreased from his total mark, you can do that as well. I'll show you.
Okay.
I'll show you. You can select an answer.
Allow me, engineer سامر. اعتقد احنا انا بالنسبه لي على الاقل I'm a beginner in this، واعتقد الفكره من محاضره اليوم او من ورشه اليوم ان احنا نجرب بروحنا، وهالامور اللي قاعد تقولها الاخت ريم اعتقد لو احنا براكتس مع طلبتنا as mock exams، اوكي، احنا راح نلاقي اجوبه لاسئلتنا ونشارك بعض فيها في الورشه الثانيه. فالاسئله جدا جميله، بس يعني اعتقد احنا قاعد نتكلم عن البيسكس. الحين لو نعطي المجال للكل، اكيد كل واحد عنده سؤال وجميل جدا، بس الافضل ان احنا نجربه بروحنا we'll come back with يعني حتى we can post it on this channel later on. اوكي، احنا الفكره من اليوم انه بير مينيمم، ان نبلش بالبيسكس عشان نجرب بروحنا، ونرجع بعد يوم يومين نشوف شنو اللي نقدر نفيد فيه بعض. Okay.
Thank you, Sir Zainal. I can see also the time is short. I need to speed up a little bit. Let's select the third. Let's select the third category, which is multiple choice. I'll add a multiple choice question. Again, I'll name it Chapter 1, multiple choice question 1. Let's copy it. Okay, now I can select how the multiple answers will appear in which way of presenting either ABC 1, 2, 3 or Latin numbers or no numbers at all. I can start putting the answers, the correct one or the wrong one. For example, this is the correct one. I'll put it and I'll give it a grade of 100. I'll start putting the rest of answers and do not give them any weight, so they are considered all wrong. Okay, and we'll put, you can have more than 4 answers to any question. You can even have 10 answers to a question. Whenever you need to add more answers, you click on the blank 3 more choices. I want to see the shuffle, the choices. Dr. Muna, this is where you shuffle the multiple answer questions. If you click on this, it will shuffle the answers for the student. I'll save and change and see it in the preview. Okay, this is the way the question will be displayed and the answers will are displayed also for the student. I'll save the changes. Let's add one more. I'll put one question with a picture so I can show you how you can do that. Let's put an essay question with a picture. I'll copy. I'll go add a new question. I'll select essay questions, add. Again, chapter 1, essay Q1. Now notice when I bring a picture from Microsoft Word and paste it in the Moodle text area, it will not come. What I need to do, I need to remove this, go back to the picture, and save this picture in Word on my desktop, for example, in order for me to take it to Moodle question area. So any picture that you have, you need to save it in your desktop, okay? And from there you can drag it, just drag the picture to the question area. Okay, and it will be displayed. Also, you can select it from the insert or edit picture. You can browse if you have a collection of pictures, or you can drag and drop any picture that you have in your, let's put this one, for example. This is how it will display. Okay, so it's just a matter of drag and drop. Okay. For the essay questions, you don't need to do anything there because it will preview to him as a question with a text box where he can put his answer. Let's see it, how it will display. Preview. Okay, so this is the question and the area for him with the where he can write his answer for the essay question. All these questions are not graded. It's left for the instructor at the end of the exam to grade them. Dr. Zainal, do you need me to do one more last with the header, or should I give it to Laila to explain the respondents?
If you just do it quickly in like less than 1 minute, just to explain that there is a question with header and multiple questions, sub questions.
Okay. So, for example, if we have such a question, I have a question with a header. All this is the header for the question, and based on this header question, I have multiple essay questions. How I can display this in one page for the student? What I need to do? Okay, I will create a header question. There is an option in the questions called header question, where it is not marked. It's only a text which will appear to the student at the header above the questions I need. So I'll select add new questions, select from the bottom description. It means this is not a question, this is only a description. Okay, I'll paste my thing inside. And you see the tables comes really clean when you paste them from Word document. I'll save the changes. Now I'll create two small questions to this question header. I'll create a new question. It's an essay question. Add. Okay. Essay 1. I'll copy this. I'll put it here. Okay, and I'll leave the rest unchanged. Save changes. I'll add one more. Don't worry about the paging. I'll show you now how I can combine them in one page. Add one more question. Essay, add. I'll take the question. Let's copy it. Now I'm worried for Laila. I need her to finish also on time. Okay.
Exactly that. And we have.
Yeah. I'm almost done.
Yeah, just keep two questions. Two questions. Yeah, two sub questions.
Enough. Yeah. So now the question header, essay 1, essay 2, they should be all together combined in one page. What I'll do, I'll go to the question, those arrow, and move them together in one page. So now, question header, essay 1 in one page. I'll move also these questions to the same page. So now I have 3 questions appearing to the students in one page. Once I'm done, I'll save. Okay. Now the marks, when I put the total mark for the quiz, automatically the system will weight each question the way I grade them or mark them, and based on the total for the student. So the total is out of 30, it will appear to the student out of 30 based on the weight which I gave each question here. I'll save it.
And just one workaround regarding the question with the header, you can always connect each sub question with the header itself and keep it as, like independent question, subject that the answer does not depend on the previous question. So you can always copy the header and combine it with that sub question. Yeah, just.
That's correct. That's correct. Once you're done with the quiz, you can always go back to the quiz, preview the quiz, or better, you can take the role of the student and see exactly how the quiz will appear to the student. So I'm changing my role, okay, to a student. Now I'll see the exam exactly the way the student will see it.
Again, Mohammad, how did you show as a student?
يلا again وانا فوق في عندك على الايكون مالك في return to, let's go to the back to the normal. من هنا من عند اسمك اخذ click and switch role to, you can have the role of student, a TA, a guest, or non-editing teacher, or you can have your own role as instructor. So I'm taking a student role now. This is how the page will appear to students. I'll take the quiz and start the quiz. Of course, I'm already on the attempt هذا اللي يصير when the student is cut. All my answers saved. Okay, and this is the questions with the header. So I'll see the header appearing at the beginning. Then I have one question and another question. Laila, I'll give you now the mic in order to finish in time, and good luck. Thank you all.
Sure, thanks. Thank you very much, Engineer Osama.
Thank you, Bashmand.
Thank you.
Okay, so the first step, I'm going to be talking about adding Respondus to an exam. Now, Respondus has two things that it does. It does lockdown browser. That's one of the activities.
Could you minimize the meeting in general box?
Yeah, sure. There you go. So Respondus does two things, lockdown browser and the student monitor. They don't have to be done together. So you can choose, for example, only to do lockdown browser if you want, or you can do both. The first thing is, how do we activate it? Now, you just go to the turn on editing, and I'm going to use the same exam that Engineer Osama was using. And we're not going to edit the title. We're just going to go to edit the settings. In the settings, there is extra restrictions on attempts. And you want to say show more. Here's where I'm going to say that I want to use Respondus with this exam. So I say browser security should be set through lockdown browser dashboard. This is step number one. So I activate it in the quiz. All right, and then I'm just going to save this setting. The second part is in the course itself. This is another course that we have. I'm going to edit the course. So now I've returned to the course. I'm going to edit the course, and I want to add the dashboard so I can control the respondents and tell respondents what I want it to do. You edit the course, and you go to the section. It's called course block, and you expand it. So here's where I'm going to tell it I want to add a block. You're going to tell me which block do you want, and this is the block that we're looking for, the Respondus Lockdown Browser. So now we've added that block. All right, so I'm just going to close the editing here. I'm going to go back to my original course where I have the block. Now that the block, so remember there are two steps. One, set the respondents in the quiz. Two, you only do this once. You only add the dashboard once. Then you can use it with every other quiz. Then you want to go to the dashboard of the respondents. It will show you all the quizzes that you've activated respondents for. So you can have quizzes that don't need respondents, like here. We have two quizzes that didn't require respondents, and we had a quiz that did. Yes, do we have a question?
No, keep going.
All right, so now this is the quiz that we want to activate respondents for. So I'm going to say in the sample question, I'm going to go to these settings. Now here, the first thing it asks me if I want to use lockdown browser. So again, we said that respondents has two activities, lockdown browser. So I'm going to say, yes, I'm going to require it for students. And there are advanced settings here. These are important. You want to say lock the student into the browser until the exam is completed. You can do a password so that you can, adding the password means that the student can close the exam if they know the password before they complete the exam, which maybe you don't want to do. This is very important. Allow students to take the exam using an iPad because some students are only using iPads. So you want to make sure that that's selected. And please note, students that are using an iPad will have to download the Respondents app from the App Store before they can start the exam. And the best and the only actually browser that works with Respondents is Chrome and Firefox. It will not work with the Edge browser. All right, and then you can allow access to specific web domains. Like for example, if you have a website in your quiz that you need the student to get to, you can allow that specific website. If not, you can keep them unchecked. Are there any questions on the lockdown browser part? This is just locking the browser. That means once the student opens the exam, they will not be able to access any other applications, and that includes Teams. So if they're doing the exam on Moodle, it will automatically shut down Teams. They will not be able to use Teams while they're doing lockdown browser in Moodle. All right, so we finished the lockdown browser part. Now we move to the monitoring. This is what we're calling this is just all artificial intelligence. There's no one there actually watching their video. This is just the computer that's going to be watching them while they do it. So here, if we say we want to require respondents monitor for the exam, it's going to give us about the monitor, of course. We can just say don't show this or continue to the monitor. We care about the options of that monitor. So for here, you can say if you want the student to take a photo, if we want the student to show their ID, if we want the student to do an environment check, which means they're going to have to take their laptop and do a 360-degree view of the room they're in. So these are very important if you want to leave them checked or not. Just for the purpose of this example, maybe we won't have them all checked, just so it's not too much work for Duaij. But we'll keep the guideline tips because this is just reminding them of what's going to happen, all right? And we can even remove additional instructions or keep them. Now here it's important as well, facial detection options. So you can prevent students from taking the exam if their face doesn't show. And this is difficult because if there are students with veils, girls with veils, it might not allow them to take the exam. But you can keep it unchecked, and so they will continue to take the exam, but you will be able to see the video afterwards to see if actually anyone was there. Also, you can just keep the notify the students during the exam that their face is not detected, that maybe they went off the camera. All right, and I'm going to save and close these settings. Now, just before I hand it over to Duaij, I just want to show you this is another quiz that we had set up for the respondents. Now, it will take up to sometimes 12 hours, sometimes less than 12 hours to give you the results of the quiz. So here we already did a quiz, and I'm just going to see the class results. And it tells me I have one high priority. So I see that they did the exam, and it tells me their duration, and I can review to see what's the issue that it saw. So it tells me here there's high priority because there was low facial detection. And basically that's because there is a light at the background, so it doesn't detect their face completely. And this happens, for example, if a student places their hand in front of their face, it will give you the same error. Or if someone went off screen, it will give you also the same kind of error. So this is just
so basically higher priority or like a suspicious action does not mean that he really cheated. I mean, you need to see.
Exactly, you have to analyze it yourself. Yes.
But
all right,
excuse me,
so this is in terms of respondents.
Laila, excuse me.
Yeah?
It was important to note that I was using my phone during the exam to picture the student interface. So maybe that might be a reason why it's classifying it as high priority.
High priority.
Because I was using my phone during the session.
Yes, if the students, even if the student's not maintaining eye contact, so if they put their head down and they're kind of either, especially if they're doing math equations and they're writing on a paper, it might also flag them as well. All right, so that's in terms of respondents. I think I'm done with this part. I just want to note one small thing that's in the course here, the sample quiz. If you're preparing your midterm, if you go to the settings of the quiz, you can actually hide it. So it doesn't have to be available to students all the time. So if you just go to the, I believe, appearance, you can, no, not appearance. There's a setting here that will allow you to hide it from student view. Just I will open all the, expand all the, this is very important. So if you're working on your midterm, let's say, you can have it hidden until further that you want to make it available to students. Yes, here, common module settings. So you can hide it from students and then show it on the course when you're ready to let them preview it. Otherwise, I'm going to hand it over to Duaij, who's going to show you from the student's perspective how this is going to all look.
حياك الله داي تفضل.
So good evening to everyone. Basically, for starters, we're going to look at the student interface of taking a form of assessment. And in this case, it's going to be a quiz. So I'm going to log in to my Moodle account, obviously from the student information system. Then when I log in, I'm going to go to my courses tab and click on the designated course. And then the quiz, sample quiz, which is going to be under the tests tab. These are obviously the rules which students are required to read. And in the end, before I start the quiz, I'm going to have to download the lockdown browser. So I'm going to click on this tab right here.
Do you need to do it every time or is it just one time thing?
No, just one time. It's just for the first time. And now I'm going to share the camera of my phone for you to see my screen, because I want to be able to do so while taking the exam. So I don't know if this is
very clear.
Very clear. Perfect.
I don't know if you can hear me right now.
Just remember there you have to, yeah, there.
Yeah, okay.
Just
So
click on the install.
Install now. And then in the bottom right here, if you can see, it's installing. And after it's installed, I'm gonna have to open the link. I don't know if you can see this clearly because of the glare, but I'm just gonna have to approve it. So I'm gonna click on yes. Click on the English language, next. So I'm just gonna accept the terms of the license agreement. And we're about done. So Lockdown browser is installed in the computer. Now I'm ready to launch. So I'm gonna launch the Lockdown browser. Click on yes again. Now you can see it's starting the launch. So I have to close Teams before that. Teams in the computer. So I'm gonna close and close whatever apps or windows that are open. The Lockdown browser is gonna require me to close them. So I'm gonna close them all. And now I can start my quiz. Before that, of course, there's going to be a webcam check. So for authentication purposes, you can agree on the license agreement and the webcam
Again,
check.
these are all done just one time, right?
Yeah, yes. So the webcam check is...
دكتور السيت اب هذا مع كل كويز مع كل تيست. السيت اب الاول الانستول يكون هو بس الوحيد.
The webcam check is for every quiz. The webcam check and all these authentication purposes are for every quiz, of course. Okay. Every time you're using Respondus. Okay. So I'm going to click on yes. So webcam check is mandatory. And then I'm going to just mute myself because I'm going to have to record a 5-second video. I'm just going to mute. Recorded the video to continue. So these are just guidelines and tips. Click on next. And then lastly, it's a facial detection check. So I'm good to go since all of my face is shown in the box. And now I'm good to go. And I can begin the exam. I don't know if this is clear to you. Should I zoom in a little bit? Okay.
It's fine, it's fine.
So now I'm starting the first question. Answer the first question. As you can see, it's sequential, so I can't revert to the other question, or I can. Oh, so I think it was free.
Okay. I kept it free, Duaij. Yes.
Okay.
انضبطكم.
I guess so. I'm just going to answer the questions. As you can see, here's the time left. And here, this shows which question I'm in. Just go next page. This is the table. Second question related to the table.
Can you leave an answer? I mean, can you leave it blank? Does
Okay,
it
sure.
take it?
It says not yet answered.
So you have to do it before you submit, or you can submit?
I don't, but it just notifies me that it's not answered. So I can return to it. So no. So when I return to attempt, it will just get me to the last question again. That's even when it's sequential. It will have the option of returning to attempt. It will just return me to the sixth question, the last question. But since this is free, so I can return to any question at any time. I'm going to submit. Submit all and finish. This is just feedback for Respondus. And I'm about done. And you can see it's not yet graded. I can go back to the course and I'm done. Thank you for listening.
مشكور يعطيك العافية. مشكور.
عافيك.
Okay. افتكر كذي خلصنا بس الحين I'll show the together mode. عدل ليلى.
ليلى يمكن.
Yes.
Okay. أنا بس الوقت قالت لي لنا الصلاة. تفضل. في شيء ليلى؟
لا دكتور خالد الظاهر عنده سؤال.
تفضل دكتور.
ابو حسين مو المفروض we integrate the models مع teams?
I can show you that if you'd like.
Yeah سويها ليلى يلا مو مشكلة. استحملونا.
لا وسؤال آخر الطلبة they need to download any software to use models or no?
No, they just use it from the browser.
Even if it's, I just heard Duaij saying that they need to download Respondus.
Respondus, if you're using it, حق الexam.
If they use iPad or
if they use iPad,
Apple,
you have to go.
yeah.
Yes, they have to go to the App Store to download Respondus. It's free.
Okay.
Have to go.
All right. So just let me find a class where I don't have Moodle. Can everyone see my screen? Yeah?
Yes.
Okay, this class has Moodle. Let me just check another class maybe from our old classes here. All right. All right, so if I want to download Moodle, I just go to my Teams course and I'm going to click on the plus button here, add a tab. And then I'm going to search for Moodle, or it appears here. You don't want to download the dashboard. You want Moodle, the one with the little graduation hat. You're going to select it, and then you say add. And just give it a minute. I know sometimes it gives this error, but just give it a minute. Sometimes it will even ask you to log into your KU email address, the 365. Just log in, and then you can select. It will bring back your classes from Moodle. Select the class for this team and say save. And it will bring back in Moodle directly. It's showing you the same view that you see in Moodle. However, there have been some notes of this not working, especially sometimes with students and some faculty, because if someone else is logged into Office 365 with their username and password, this page doesn't come in. The best thing is during the exam to ask students to go directly to the Moodle address. It's fine to add the tab to Teams, but during an exam, it's best if the students open the exam from Moodle, which is the address that we gave you, moodle.ku.edu.kw. Are there any questions?
I think that's it.
Okay.
Okay. آخر شيء بس. Yeah. Okay.
Do you want to show? You want me to show together mode? I can show it here.
Yeah. Go ahead. Go ahead. If you want to do it, go ahead.
Okay. Just the first thing is you have to enable it. The way to enable it is from Teams. If you go to your image and you go to the settings.
But you have to have the latest version, by the way.
Yes, you have to, and the way you do that is from the same place. If you just say check for updates, it will bring back your latest version. And the same place, you go to your settings, and you just want to select turn on new meeting experience. Once you select this, you have to restart your Teams. My suggestion is restart completely, because your Teams, you don't just close it and it will go away, because it's always in the tray. You have to make sure that it's also closed from here. Oh, you guys can't see my tray, but just the best thing is to restart your computer, trust me. Then after that, you'll find that every time you open a meeting, it opens in a new page. Are you able to see the new page? I don't think you're seeing this. Let me just share full desktop.
Let me just turn on my camera so you can use. If some of us can turn on the camera, that would be helpful. Like if we have like 10 people to turn on their cameras.
Okay, and I'll just open now together mode. So you see we're all sitting here. This is me.
نورت الشاشة. اوكي. الحين لو بس تسمحوا لي اقول 3-4 شغلات بهالخصوص هذا. طبعا اللي شرحناه اليوم كله كان هاو تو نستخدم الريسبوندنس والمودل والامور هذه. انا اللي اطلبه منكم ان يعني احنا نروح على الطريقه الاسهل بالنسبه لنا احنا وي ار بيجنرز كلنا. اوكي. don't overwhelm yourself مع التكنولوجيا اللي موجوده. go with the bare minimum. يعني انا بالنسبه لي ما ابي استخدم لا ريسبوندنس ولا الامور هذه. كل اللي بسوي بستخدم مودل as an exam as a way to يعني exam my students واشغل التوجذر مود واشوفهم قدامي وهم قاعد يختبرون اشوفهم قدامي بالطريقه هذه. بالنسبه لي انا هاي الطريقه الافضل والاسهل. والشيء الثاني اللي انصح فيه try some mock exams. يعني جرب مع طلبتك اسئله 5 اسئله اي لون تحب. شلون محاضرتك اليوم؟ ايش رايك باليوم؟ وجرب راح you will have some feedbacks. انت مع طلبتك راح تعلمون بعض في الامور هذه وصدقني راح تكسر البارير في مع الامور الجديده هذه. بس هذه نصيحتي لكم ان يعني اتفق مع طلبتك برا المحاضره ايش رايكم نجرب اليوم كويز يسمونه يعني موك اكزام. اوكي وجربه معه وشوف النتائج وشوف طريقه حتى الريسبوندنس اذا تشوفه معه حتى الريزلتس مالت الاونلاين بروكتورنج. هذه كلها امور احسن ما تجرب معاهم في وقت المحاضره. راح تشوفها وايد ايزي راح تصير معك لما وانس تصير اوفيشال. ويعطيكم الف عافيه. راح احط الفيديو هذا على اليوتيوب على الستريم مالت الفيرتشوال مالتنا هذه مالت السي بي اي. واذا تبون حلقه ثانيه او ورشه ثانيه بعد يوم الاثنين to be more advanced انا حاضر. يعني تعطونا الفيدباك مالكم وانا حاضر نسوي. طبعا احب اشكر يعني الفريق اللي عمل يعني ما شاء الله النو تايم الصبح قلت لهم او اكشلي امس العصر قلت لهم اقل من 24 ساعه كل شيء كان ذاهب. وانتم كلكم مشكورين يعني كلكم اغلبكم اساتذتي وما شاء الله عليكم يعني النو تايم يعني حضرتوا وشاركتوا معنا. اذا في اي شيء قبل لا نختم.
في بعض الأسئلة أشوف في ناس رافعين أسئلتهم.
أوكي. دكتور خالد السعد أعتقد سأل.
وفي دكتور شملان يمكن.
السلام عليكم. أنا بس عندي سؤال بالنسبة حق مودل. أول شيء أقدر أضيف نفسي كستودنت من مثلا الجيميل أكاونت أو بيرسونال إيميل يعني كجست واجرب اني انا اسوي مثلا كويز حق نفسي او شيء كذي من اكاونتي الثاني بس عشان يعني اعرف الاكسبيرينس بالضبط. هذا سؤالي الاول. سؤالي الثاني اقدر اضيف شلون احنا بتيمز نقدر مثلا نسوي ديمو كلاس نجرب فيه الفيتشرز. نقدر نسوي كذي بمودل نسوي مثلا ديمو كلاس او شيء كذي نجرب فيه قبل لا يعني ما ودنا نجرب اول مره قدام طلبه يمكن يكون فيه اخطاء. يعطيكم العافيه على الورشه.
الله يعافيك. نفس ما قلنا لما انت على المودل لما انا اكون داخله في المودل في اكثر من رول يعني ما تحتاج انت تضيف نفسك في ايميل ثاني لان مجرد ما انا اقول له I want to switch my role اقدر انا ادخل كطالبه فالحين أنا طالبة، فشفت الصفحة اللي أنا كنت فيها يقول لي مو مسموح أنت تدشين فيها لأن أنت الحين كطالبة. أقول له أوكي، فيردني مثلا على الصف. الحين أنا ستيل هني اسمي تحت ستودنت، فالحين أنا هني داشة بالضبط نفس الطالبة.
أستاذة ليلى أعتقد يقصد إذا بيجرب the full fledged، يعني مثلا يبي يشوف حتى الريسبوندس والأمور هذه. أنا اللي سويته دكتور عاونت مع دكتور ثاني، حطيته هو حطني ستودنت وجربنا مع بعض.
هم يصير هالطريقة.
أوكي.
يعني يصير اضيف نفسي كجست يعني، لان ما عندي كيو اكونت ثاني.
لا تضيف دكتور ثاني، تضيف دكتور ثاني مع مثلا دكتور ثاني، او اضيفني انا مثلا، حطني سؤال اتفق معي ونجربها مع بعض. انا حلي كان كذي.
اوكي. والديمو كلاس
دكتور حق الديمو كلاس you can I'll give you an email where you can send to KU. They will create a demo class for you. You can test with it. For your first question, I guess Gmail, whatever account you have, they don't have access to KUSAI's model system that we have. So I don't think you can add yourself as a student in the course. And for your second question, I'll send you now in the chat the email which you need to send for the support of KU to create your training or sample course for you to test with.
Thank you. يعطيكم العافية.
دكتورة منى.
Yes, مساء الخير. Thank you so much for this presentation. Actually, it was very fruitful and it's excellent. Now, maybe I would like to share my experience before next week comes, because I had my exam yesterday. So let me lay down my learning curve and what I've been doing for the last couple of weeks. I had actually 3 quizzes. One of them is open anytime, anywhere for our students where they can experiment with it. One of them was in class, and one of them was out of class time, which was limited for 10 minutes only. And the experience initially was very successful because the students did not complain. It was only 10 minutes and everything was fine. Yesterday I had my midterm. It was 1 hour, 15 minutes, and I have to commit for the entire time. However, the way I structured the question is to be fit for 1 hour. I had multiple choice questions, true and false questions. I shuffled the multiple choice questions and the answers at the same time. I also used, of course, true and false just for the students to lay down a little bit and have 1 sentence only. And the multiple choice questions, to avoid the cheating, instead of adding 4 multiple choice answers, I added 5. So I added 1 extra. That way, when students, they receive the questions, they see 5 answers. So in case if they have their phones connected together or for any other reasons, it will be very difficult for them to track which question and which answer they are looking at. I have 44 students yesterday. I had only 4 cases of interruptions. In a sense, I had only 4 students communicating with me through Teams and the chat rooms where they had their internet connections problems or their machine issues. Now, in these cases, it was very clear to me that مثلا it freezed in the middle of the exam. But when it happens after half an hour to 45 minutes of the exam. And what I did, actually, I entered the exam again, and I did exceptions for these 4 students only, and I allowed them to have a second attempt. That way, what I did, I reduced the time for myself to give them another exam in another time with different questions. And at the same time, I committed to the exam and the class time that I had. Now, will I make sure that they've been cheating or so forth? I'm not going to worry about this because, as I've mentioned, the questions were enough for them just to look at them. I also prohibited the backtracking for questions. And let's look at the results, which is very important to us. Did I notice anybody had like an outlier? Absolutely not. The results were exactly the same as I had in my conventional classes before. So that was for me, it was very comforting that even when you don't use Respondus, the experience will be successful. The students since yesterday had no complaints whatsoever. They can see the results, I mean, instantly online. I had the option to show them the results, whether for the questions they answered mistakenly or the questions they did correctly. But of course, I prohibited that because I prefer to do that during office hours and during the class time. So I just wanted to share my experience before anybody else starts. Maybe these are some options for tests to add, and hopefully everybody will be, and good luck actually to everybody. Thank you.
مشكورة دكتورة، وايد مشكورة، خوش كومنت، وبالفعل كنا محتاجين هالشيء هذا من خبرتك. شكرا دكتورة. في أي ملاحظة، أي كومنت؟ Okay. Do you hear me? Okay, Hannah, تفضل.
Yes, we hear you.
Yeah, okay.
Actually, one of the things that happened during proctoring the exams, I noticed the students' faces, they were not complete, and I tracked her and I tried to ask her several times just to give me the face signature. And later on, she told me I'm getting the exam from the phone because I cannot reach it through the computer. The other girl, she had the inverse problem. She had she cannot manage to open her camera from the laptop, and she managed to open the camera from the phone. So those two cases, it was so difficult to say that they are cheating or trying to communicate. So what's the alternatives I can use in this case?
طبعا دكتورة الأمور هذه متوقعة، وإحنا مرة ثانية دام هم أقل من 10%، يعني هذا حتى بالأوقات الطبيعية كانت تصير الأمور هذه. احنا خلينا نشوف البيست براكتسز بعد ما نسوي الموك اكزامز، لان الغالبيه احنا تقريبا عندنا 130 عضو تدريس و70 تدريس مساند، اللي حضروا تقريبا اليوم 80. فانا افترض ان الباجين اوريدي ما يحتاجون السيشن مالت اليوم. اللي اليوم ان شاء الله احنا كلنا، انا اعتقد عن نفسي كنت احتاج السيشن هذه. خلينا نجرب الاسبوع القادم، نجرب موك اكزامز، نجرب يعني سمبل كويزز ونشوف الفيدباك. بالنهايه الامر الوضع استثنائي، الوضع يتطلب شويه فلكسبيتي، مو معناته نقلل الستاندرد مالتنا، بس على الاقل يعني نتماشى مع الحدث. نعم الافضل نكون بالكليه، الافضل نكون قاعاتنا، الافضل نشوف طلبتنا، الامور هذه كلها مفضله على الطريقه هذه، ولكن بسبب الجائحه، بسبب الامور هذه، يعني انا اعتقد هذا ذا بيست واي تو انتراكت ونقيم طلبتنا. طبعا التقييم يا جماعه للمره، يعني اقولها اكثر من مره، مو مطلوب التقييم يكون ورقي بالصوره النمطيه القديمه، او حتى الاختبار بالطريقه هذه. اللائحه اتاحت لنا التقييم باي طريقه يراها الدكتور مع طلبته، حتى الفاينل التقييم بينك وبين طلبتك. لو الدكتور يعتقد ان برزنتيشن كافي حقه، لو يكتب طلبته شابتر كل واحد 10 دقائق يقيم طلبته، this is enough. الكورس عباره عن باس وفيلتر ات ذا اند، اللي يبي يكون يعني لتر جريد. فاحنا خلونا بس يعني ما نشوف الامور اللي طلعنا برا الجاده مالتنا. احنا الفكره مالتنا نواصل التعليم ونقيم بالطريقه اللي تناسب الوضع هذا. اشكركم مره ثانيه، اشكر الفريق الكبير والفريق المصغر هذا اللي تطوع من امس اليوم انه يخلص لنا الامور هذه، واشكركم مره ثانيه على حضوركم. راح احط لكم ان شاء الله اللينك، ابعث لكم على الواتساب، وسامحوني مره ثانيه قاعد ازعجكم بالواتسابات، بس لان بهالظروف هذه مضطر يعني اكون 24/7 مع الواتساب، قاعد تجينا قرارات من الاداره الجامعيه، احب اطلعكم على الامور هذه. فمره ثانيه استسمحكم ان ما تضايقون من واتساباتي ومسجاتي او ايميلاتي. شاكر لكم مره ثانيه.
شكرا دكتور.
شكرا.
شكرا، مع السلامه.